So, y'all like buzzer beater videos? Hello everybody, my name is Christian, and today we are going to be talking about what character you should pull for in version 3.2. This is a style of video a lot of creators do, and as I've been changing up my content style, I wanted to try it out and see how it performs with my audience. What better time than right before the update, right? Right? Before we get into the video, if you guys like this content, please be sure to tell me in the comments below. I've wanted to try out a lot of new things recently, and this is one of the types of videos I was most curious about. With that said, let's begin with our first new character of the update, Castorice. Castorice is a quantum remembrance character, who is an HP scaling damage dealer. For those of you who aren't aware, this is the same style of unit as Mighty, Triby technically, and in the past, Blade. These units have most of their mechanics and damage centered around HP in some form, and it fluctuates a lot as a result of that. Castorice is another unique case though, where her ult itself is also linked to HP. This is similar to Fei Xiao and Acheron, where ult can only be accumulated by meeting a certain condition. For Castorice, the amount of HP lost by your party is what allows her to get her ult. Using her ult is how we end up with her memo sprite, Netherwing. By the way, this is such a hard name, y'all. I love it. Your primary goal as Castorice is to summon out Netherwing, as that is going to be your main form of damage output. This damage can come in two ways. There's Castorice's joint attack, similar to how Aglaya with Garment Maker works, and then Netherwing's breath attack. Netherwing will unleash a powerful blast as we can see here, that will hit multiple enemies and can actually be enhanced depending on how much HP you want to use up. Netherwing will leave the field after about 3 turns and he'll self-destruct. He'll also restore your HP on the way out so you can begin the process of summoning him again. What a good dragon Netherwing is. The last thing to talk about is Castorice has a passive ability, where she can keep party members alive even if they fall in combat, giving them the opportunity to either be healed or shielded to get back into the fight. This can also work if Castorice isn't in your party. I would like to make it very clear, I do not recommend pulling Castorice just for this ability. It's very good and can be helpful, but it is far from the end-all be-all. Let's now move on to your ideal teams for Castorice. Surprisingly, Castorice seems a bit more free-to-play friendly than anticipated. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out here. When looking at your normal Castorice teams, you'll want a character who can shred defense or enhance damage taken, an action advancer, and a good sustainer who can keep up with the amount of HP that she'll drain. Oh, by the way, if that wasn't obvious, please use an abundance with Castorice. Please. Moving back to her teams, you actually have one of the best Castorice teammates on your account already. If you finished the 3.0 story, Remembrance MC. A completely free character who is amazing for Castorice, providing her with an action advanced and an additional damage in true damage. In terms of other characters you may already have on your account, Pela and Bronya can both be great to fulfill the roles I mentioned earlier. Combo that with Gallagher being one of the best sustain choices right now, and we have a great team that can be good for free-to-play and premium players. Looking at overall teams now, we'll do premium first and free-to-play after. My recommendation for your Castorice team would be her, Triby, RMC, and Gallagher or Luocha. Some alternate options are Jiaoqiu and Sunday, but keep in mind, Sunday will drastically alter how this team works, since both Cass and the Dragon will go. For a free team, I would look at Pela, RMC, and Gallagher. Definitely a little bit weaker, but considering 2 of the same characters from the premium teams are here, it could definitely be worse. Moving on to a more rapid-fire section, let's talk about our rerun banners. On the rerun banners, we have Oh Dear God Almighty. So this is an unfortunate trend with rerun banners where they will put a support who is still useful, with 2 characters who should be teammates ideally. Definitely rough if you have none of these characters, but overall, these are some solid choices. Let's start with Fugue. Fugue is a Fire Nihility character who serves as the best super break support in the game. She has it enabled permanently without having to use an ult, and can grant the ability to break anything to any character with her skill. On top of this, she is also capable of inflicting a defense shred on enemies for about 18%. Her best teams are going to be every super break team with Rappa, Boothill, and Firefly, or alongside Acheron as a more niche option. Next up is Jiaoqiu. Jiaoqiu is a Fire Nihility character as well, and also a Foxian. Huh, that's weird. Anyway, Jiaoqiu is similar to Triby, as he can enhance the damage taken by enemies by an immense amount. He does this by stacking a debuff called Ashen Roast on enemies, which can stack for up to 35%. His ultimate is also extremely beneficial for certain characters, as it increases ultimate damage taken by a pretty substantial 15%. Overall, he was the best pure defense shredder in the game until Triby came out, but that doesn't mean he's bad now by any means. Due to how universal his kit is, we have multiple options he can be paired with. First and foremost is Acheron. Acheron loves having Jiaoqiu alongside her. She needs debuffs to gain her ult, and he will further increase the damage of this ult by a crazy amount since his ult and his skill will stack. Next up is Mighty. Mighty loves having his enemies weakened, and Jiaoqiu provides just that. Tribi is the preferred option, but since Tribi can only be in one place, having a great backup is always going to be helpful. The same idea applies to the Herda. Her ult into her enhanced skill is her primary source of damage, and Jiaoqiu can help enhance both of these. There's a few other characters he can run with, but the most important part about Jiaoqiu is how flexible he can be. He can work with many different team types, so don't be afraid to experiment with him to really see what he can do. Last but not least, oh boy. Acheron is back, ladies and gentlemen. Acheron is a lightning nihility character, who is probably closer to a destruction character than a normal nihility. She focuses on crit rate and crit damage, and relies on her ultimate for most of her damage output. She gains her ultimate by having debuffs applied on her enemies, with 9 stacks being her goal. A warning to anyone out there pulling, Acheron Eidolons do drastically alter the character, with E2 being a huge one for her. This Eidolon makes it so that she won't lose out on damage by not having 2 nihility characters alongside her. That means you can run a damage enhancer of some form without worrying about that fall off. In terms of what her best synergies are going to be, Jiaoqiu is at the top of the list like I mentioned earlier. He's the premier character to have and by far the most important to any Acheron team. Alongside her, you'll typically see a range of sustains, but Aventurine is a common choice for his debuff application and crit damage increase. Your last slot will usually change based on the Eidolon you have, or if you're very confident. With E2, the common choices will be characters like Sparkle, Tribi, or Sunday. Without it, you'll commonly see someone like Black Swan or Pela. Keep all of this in mind when pulling for Acheron, as she is a very high investment character. As a last note before we move on, I would like to talk about the 4 stars on this banner. On any of the banners I just discussed, you can get Gallagher, Pela, or Lynx I believe for your account. Pela is great for both the DPS characters here, and Gallagher is one of the best sustains in the game. These characters alone make pulling at least a bit worth it to try and get Eidolons for them. Now, let's finally move on to the second half of the update, where we only have 2 characters to worry about, thank God, Anexa and Dr. Ratio. Anexa is a Wind Erudition character, and has one of the more unique concepts in Star Rail. He is a character who is capable of consistently applying additional weaknesses to characters, similar to Silverwolf. This effect can also be triggered with only his basic attack, instead of requiring a skill. When Anexa has enough weaknesses on a target, a state known as Qualitative Disclosure will trigger. This increases damage taken from Anexa, and he will automatically trigger an additional usage of his skill for free when doing any attack to a target in this state. Now I know what you're thinking. What if I'm fighting multiple enemies? Do I have to attack them all to get all those weaknesses applied? Worry not, dear viewer, the BS of Anexa doesn't end there. His ultimate is capable of applying every weakness to all enemies on the field and putting his enemies in the sublimation state. The sublimation state essentially means his enemies will not be able to move. Yeah, he's got a lot going on to say the least. Let's move on to the ideal teams for Anexa. While Castorice isn't perfect, she can actually be considered a bit more friendly than Anexa, truth be told. Now before anyone rips my head off, let's make this clear. I really don't think it's a huge gap. However, Anexa is going to be at his best alongside the Herda as a sub-DPS in my opinion. They work together well considering Anexa will offer a lot of attacks for the Herda to generate energy, and he can pair well with her best support currently in Tribi. This is a very expensive team, and would have required you pulling in both the last 2 updates. This isn't to say Anexa is just for the Herda though. He is still a perfectly capable damage dealer, and should have some pretty free-to-play friendly characters he can work with. Without knowing too much about the character currently, I would say looking into traditional good action advance and amplifiers will be a great start. Since he is capable of hitting all enemies, a character like Jiaoqiu or Tribi is going to be great alongside him. Moving on to the premium and free-to-play team options, your premium team should look something like the Herda, Anexa, Tribi, and a sustain of your choice alongside them. For Anexa on his own, Sunday and Tribi again are always going to be great choices. A more free-to-play option would be Anexa, RMC, Pela, and once again, a sustain of your choice. At the end here, I would like to say, I have heard rumors that apparently Anexa might pair very well with specifically Erudition characters. Considering he was also paired with Erudition constantly in his trailer, I would keep this in mind, and probably find a good Erudition partner if you don't have the Herda. As we wrap up, let's look at the 4-star options available again. Sadly, the characters present here are nowhere near as good. We have Serval, who if built right can be amazing for the Herda, and Moz, whose best pairing is alongside Fei Xiao and Dr. Ratio. If you don't have either of these characters, then I would only pull on this banner if you for sure want one of the available 5 stars. With our rundowns out of the way, let's now find out what character should you focus on getting in this update. As per usual, I advise getting the characters you personally want over everything else. Pulling a character you can't really use because you think you need them will only make things less fun for you. With that said, there is a way to split up the choices here. If you want to pull purely for what your current situation is, I hope this will be of help to you. You should pull Castorice if you want a powerful damage dealer. She's the strongest character coming out of this batch and will probably stay like that for a long time coming. Another valid reason is if you don't currently have a Memo Sprite or HP scaling character, since these are new metas actively forming right now. You should pull Fugue if you have a Firefly, Boothill, or Rappa that you want to make better. Not only will this be helpful, but with a free Raw in May, that means the Trailblazer can switch to his newest form. You should pull Jiao Cho if you don't have Tribi, you have an Acheron you want to use, or if you want a fairly multi-purpose support character. You should pull Acheron if you have Jiao Cho and Pela, you have E1 already and have a good buffer waiting, or you want a DPS that can perform at least decently in all 3 endgame modes. You should pull Anexa if you already have the Herda, you lack a good Erudition DPS, or you have good premium options like Tribi and Sunday to pair him with. Lastly, you should pull Ratio if you have extra pulls lying around. Sorry to my Ratio fans out there, but unless you really want him, there is very little reason to get Dr. Ratio in this day and age. Bless up, maybe he'll get some buffs. As for every other character, I would say look at your unique scenario and decide from there how you want to proceed. It's hard to make a wrong choice, and as long as you enjoy the character, that's all that matters. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. It's something very different from my channel, but again, I really want to try new things as I continue to expand and work on new projects. Speaking of which, I've got plenty of good stuff in the works, so be sure to subscribe to see it. That's all for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!